Manuel, welcome to TRUnblocked.com. I guess we should start this conversation by asking you what's new from Beam Suntory here in Cannes.
Well, the first thing is it's great to be back at Cannes, one full Cannes, full of activity these days, and having had the opportunity to meet again with all of our customers, people from our teams all over the world, and of course, and answering to your question, presenting to the customers our plans for 2024 and some of the new activities, some of the new innovation launches. So it's been kind of a busy week. I will highlight some of the exciting stuff that we'll get into our store next year, coming from brands like House of Suntory, Bowmore, or part of our American whiskey portfolio, with some new innovations coming into Jim Beam, Makers, and even brands like Basil Hedens. So very active week, great planning for 2024, and to a successful 2024 year.
Now, moving on, sustainability is becoming increasingly important for Beam Suntory. Can you take us through some of your GTR-specific sustainability initiatives?
Great question, and a really hot topic. Sustainability is one of the key areas where we are working as a family of Beam Suntory. You are probably familiar with the concept of Proof Positive, which is our sustainability agenda.
Yes.
I would say that from a GTR perspective, some of the recent activities that we have taken on this area of sustainability will be the introduction of the new launch of Courvoisier last year, the whole new repackaging, and this year the Lafroy one, the new repackaging. In both of the cases, the whole project worked towards making sure that we were using recyclable components and reducing the waste. In fact, in the case of Lafroy, we decided to move from the standard tube into a cardboard carton, to avoid using also some of the metal components. These are some of the activities that are product related. We are also working on some programs consumer facing from an activation perspective, where we'll be able to talk broader to our consumers about our commitment to sustainability. And that's something that I'm personally working at the moment, and will be unveiled during 2024 on the first activations that we'll be doing. So great timing.
The packaging is only one element of sustainability drive. There are other parts of it too, aren't there? What are you up to there?
We invest a lot on different areas from a production perspective and from a supply perspective. So, for instance, from a production perspective, we are investing on a double cooling system to reduce the water consumption on our distilleries. That's already been implemented in one of our distilleries in Ireland for our Irish products, and is going to soon be implemented in some of our facilities in Loreto for our American whiskey portfolio. So that's one of the examples. Also, considering that we need the nature to provide us with the products that we use for our liquids, we also have programs for our farmers to make sure that they have the best conditions to work and to farm our products.
Just developing this point, do you think the industry as a whole, as a collective, is working hard enough to create a more sustainable future?
I think we are doing the right steps, and I think for me, the way I feel, I always felt a sense of community on the travel retail industry, and with the topic of sustainability, I see a true commitment coming from absolutely operators, vendors, brand owners, working towards sustainability. Is it fast enough? I'm not able to judge, but at least, and for the last few years, we are seeing big activity happening on this topic, which is critical for all of us.
I think the more noise that's made, the more action will be taken. This industry is traditionally quite slow to move fast, and different companies work at different speeds.
Yeah.
It's a question of just getting the whole business to move at a faster pace, given what's happening around us.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's move on. H1 sales showed a 10% sales jump for the business overall, which is a great result. Mm-hmm. Where did that growth actually come from, though?
For us, Japanese whiskey has been one of the key highlights of the year. Probably you have seen some of the activity happening around it with the celebration of the 100 years anniversary for House of Suntory. Yeah. So that has implied an uplift on our sales. But also more traditional categories like single malts is having a successful trajectory both across Europe and Asia, with a specific focus on our China consumer and the whole Hainan. And cognac, actually cognac, even if it seems to be kind of a slowdown from a domestic perspective, after our relaunch 2 years ago, the brand is performing quite positively. So this will be kind of some of the drivers that have helped us to achieve those results.
In the new campaign for your cognac, are you trying to drive towards a younger market to try and make it sort of kind of just more sexy?
I wouldn't say that. What we are trying to do with the new campaign of Courvoisier is to try to demystify the consumption of cognac, of the dark spirit, only neat, only for men, only a certain time of the day during night. I'm bringing some kind of a new view on the consumption of cognac. Actually, the whole concept is based on one French statement, which is joie de vivre, which is enjoying life. And we are positioning Courvoisier, and specifically one of the perfect serve with VSOP called Gala, as the perfect aperitif. So rather than moving into the dark world, like something that you can enjoy with your friends before or after a lunch.
But definitely moving towards a younger generation rather than sticking with the old guard.
It's one of the categories that it needs to be rejuvenated because actually, personal anecdote, when I joined BIM Suntory, I didn't come from the industry, and when I start looking around brandies and cognac, the first thing that came to my mind was my grandfather, right? And I remember his whiskey bar and his bottle of cognac. So definitely.
No bodega then.
Huh?
No bodega.
Definitely. We and the rest of the brands, we are trying to also to address a younger profile, but especially because it's an amazing liquid, probably a bit unexplored as some of the other categories, and with a very good journey ahead of it.
Okay, so let's move across to the States, North America. How are you planning to kickstart that market, and to what extent is the slowdown there actually impacting your sales?
I think we have been lucky. Because it's totally true that in domestic market we are seeing a slowdown that hasn't reflected on our business in travel retail in America. Following with the cognac conversation, cognac category is one of the key ones in North America on VS and VSOP, and thanks to this relaunch, the brand is performing quite well. And our portfolio of American whiskey with Jim Beam, with Maker's Mark, and Basil and Knob Creek has been superb during this year. We had some constraints from an allocation perspective over the last couple of years, something that we already managed to fix. So this year we have been able to supply our customers all the liquid they need. And on top of that, with one brand like Basil Hayden's, which is a beautiful brand that I really want to make it more global than it is at the moment, we managed to introduce a new product, a new innovation called Basil Hayden's Red Wine Cask. We are currently activating in JFK and Lux. So these are some of the drivers that have played quite positively for us in the States.
Let's move on to another interesting area. How closely are you watching the emergence of the American single malts, and are you actually looking to play in this space?
I'm quite interested in that type of product. I'm quite interested in all of the innovations around the different liquids. We knew about this new trend of American single malts, something that for the moment we are not exploring, but we are tracking. I'm actually haven't been able yet to taste the product, but the whole concept is quite interesting, and we might be up for it if there's a good opportunity. But very interesting, makes a lot of sense from a consumer perspective.
It does indeed. Do you think that category buyers in GTR are being bold enough when it comes to emerging trends? I mean, mezcal is a very good example. And tequila, tequila may only have 1% of the market, but there is real growth territory there.
Absolutely. For me, the answer is like in both sides, actually, from a brand owner perspective or supplier perspective, also our customers or retail operators, we are a bit slow versus the rest of the FMCG world, especially on adopting, entering new categories or adopting new technologies, for instance. With that, on the tequila category, and thanks for bringing that example because it's quite interesting. I've been having conversations about expanding tequila for the last couple of years. Finally, in 2024, I will start that journey and move tequila outside Mexico and North America. But even internally, for me, it took me a while to make sure that I have the right brand, I have the right liquid, I have the right volume that we need and the support from the company. Then start a conversation with our customers. until everything sits on the right place and start expanding it. So yeah, definitely we could be a bit faster on this one.
Now, looking at 24, and you've touched upon it just now, I mean, what's the strategy across your brands? And can we actually, I know it's probably under embargo at the moment, but what can we expect that's going to generate real excitement from Beam Suntory for the trade?
Okay, Peter, I'll share with you what is not under embargo.
Okay.
And then we can talk in a few months and I'll be able to share all the information. Our strategy is not changing. We redefined the strategy, the portfolio strategy for the channel back in 2020 when we were forced to do it because of COVID. We have a global scope. We have different areas of focus, brand focus, depending on the region. So our play might be different in Asia versus America or versus Europe. However, I would say like Japanese whiskey, because we are Suntory, so will be one of the key brands, one of the key categories that we'll be playing next year. And actually with House of Suntory, there might be some products that we'll be introducing to the channel. But for me, what is more exciting is that we will start developing a specific retail concepts for House of Suntory, like a shop-in-shop or a boutique that we are aiming to open actually quite soon, being the first one in Singapore for Q1 next year. So that's very exciting because we are also kind of changing the way the consumers can experience our brands. So moving away from the standard duty-free retail environment, right?
That's
then I would say
exciting.
that
That's good move.
no, it's good. We started with Courvoisier a couple of years ago when we
Yes.
opened this boutique in Hainan. We learned a lot during the process. Then the second brand that for me made a lot of sense because of the luxury perception, House of Suntory, and then we might evolve into some of the other brands. I have to say that it was on the project for Courvoisier, I was completely out of my comfort zone. So it was my very first proper retail development project. I enjoyed a lot and I learned a lot.
But a real blooding.
Yeah. 6 months of sweat and tears. One of the big highlights for me is during next year is a whole unified strategy on American whiskey portfolio. So we'll see activity happening on Jim Beam. We'll see activity happening on Maker's Mark. We'll continue with these limited editions for specific cities. We started with JFK and Sydney. In a few weeks, you will be able to see a similar edition, but for London, Frankfurt, and Singapore, and we'll extend it as well during 2024. And then, as mentioned, for me, Basil Hayden's, which sits on the upper part of the price tiering, is one of our key brands from American whiskey strategy. Beautiful liquid, a beautiful brand. We'll start seeing more and more coming into Europe and Asia, and we are planning as well one age statement as a new introduction for next year for this brand.
They're pretty big plans.
Big plans, yeah.
Indeed. So, one final question, Manuel. If there are three things that you wanted to say to the industry, what would they be?
Wow, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to say three things, but I would just say one message. This is a beautiful industry. I mentioned already during our chat that there's always a sense of community and belonging, like a close group across all of the different protagonists of this channel. And for me, the only message would be there are certain areas where we need to work together, and we started the conversation with it. And I will mention, let's make the best and let's work hard on sustainability, but also particularly on another topic which I'm quite close to, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion, where I've seen a lot of progress, but there's definitely more progress needed on this industry. And then, of course, to all of the rest of the brand owners, which I admire, keep doing that great job and keep introducing new products to the market, opening new categories, because at the end it's going to be better for absolutely everybody. For us to be challenged, for our consumers to enjoy new products, and for our customers to get what they need.
Well, Manuel, you did manage to say three things after all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Peter.